But yes, two people. If someone want a consultation about living in Europe, in countries that I have experience like Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Poland, of course. And we also have the other person that talks about USA. As I said, I just like you do in Brazil, I don't advise people to come to those countries, Italy, Spain, Portugal, or Poland, to open a business unless it's a very specific kind of business. But if you want to have a comfortable life, yes. If someone wants to open a business, I put to my partner that he can talk a bit more about USA because it's a better place to open a business there.
Very interesting. Yeah. And like in Brazil, like particularly in São Paulo, there are many specific expat communities having a lot of success in business. But that's why I was talking specifically about US citizens, because the successful ones, they are going to usually come. I can give you some examples from China, from Turkey, okay, from the Palestine, right? Like, I mean, so usually the way I see that happening is that people, like they are used to tough environments, right? Like, I mean, so when they get to Brazil, it's not really like a challenge for them to understand, I don't know, like the red tape, the bureaucracy, and to deal with, like challenges, right? And my concern is like when you're coming from the United States, because everything works so smoothly, then you get to the Brazilian style of business, then, things get rough. But if you're coming from another place in which it's difficult to succeed, guess what? You're not gonna feel, the same pain, right? So, yeah, yes. That's an interesting perspective. Like you see, like if you go, there is a particular neighborhood in São Paulo. I'm not sure if you still remember about it. It's like Santa Efigênia. It's a whole neighborhood just like for computers, electronics, and phones, like everything electronic. And over there, it's very common for you to see people like communicating in Arabic or Chinese, right? Yes, and sometimes the Brazilians, they are gonna go there. All they are gonna be able to tell is like the price. This is the price, right? They're not gonna even be able to have a conversation. But it's interesting. Like at the same time, Brazil still represents an opportunity, business-wise, for some other countries, right? Which I would guess, like if compared to Brazil, maybe they're not even better, like from the red tape and challenges perspective.
No, I always tell to people, Latin America has a lot of red tapes, but when you take Southern Europe country, in Italy, you literally, every time you go to a public office, you need to carry a folder this size full of papers, because they are going, all the public employees there, they are going to ask you for papers that you even couldn't imagine that exist. And if you don't walk always with this folder full of papers, you are going to go to your house, go back there the next day, go back to your house, go 5-6 times. So in Southern Europe, it's not that different from Brazil in that point, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, probably because we actually, we come from, the Portuguese, right? Like, I mean, so, and what about in Portugal? Like during the time you were living in Portugal, like was it the same level of bureaucracy as in Italy? Was it a little bit better? Like how would you compare Portugal and Italy?
I would say that Portugal has less bureaucracy than Italy for 2 reasons. The first is that Italy is a very, very, very aged country. People are much older there. So the degree of digitalization is lower. You will need papers. People still use fax there. So it's like go back to the 90s, even the 80s. In Portugal, things are a bit more advanced. So they are more digitalized. A lot of processes are online. So it's not as bad as Italy. But it's far from easy in many things. In many things, it's far from easy, especially, and this is something that a lot of people struggle when they are looking for, let's say, a place to buy in Portugal. And they look all those announcements on the internet, a house for sale, a house, nearly all of them are sold. They are sold long ago, but they never removed the announcements.
Look at that.
So people will call for 9, 10 offers just to hear that, oh, it was sold 2 years
Was sold
ago.
already.
And they're still there.
Yeah. People say that like technology wise, like the backbone of technology, internet in Portugal is pretty solid. Like sometimes I see, like Americans saying, listen, I wish my internet was so good as internet is in Portugal, right? Like, I mean, there are some interesting aspects. I think on the immigration framework, they are also doing a beautiful job, right? I mean, I think Portugal is trying to find ways to differentiate itself, and it is being very successful in terms of attracting foreign citizens and money. Right now, I also understand that there is some type of not sure if the word is resistance, like particularly from the older generations in terms of foreign citizens coming to Portugal, right? Like, did you feel any type of animosity from Portuguese or
No, no.
this type of conversation? Well, the U.S. citizens they're invading Portugal.
No, I never felt that. The biggest complaining that we see in Portugal is about the increasing housing prices. That is an eternal complaint. It's a favorite point that they will complain. Sometimes they will blame, of course, foreigners because, oh, they come here and they took all the houses, so now everything is very expensive. But on the other hand, a lot of people, first, one thing that is really, really cool in Portugal is that it's a country where a lot of people speak English, especially younger people. They speak very good English. That is not common in Europe. That is not in Italy. A lot of people not speak English. In Spain, less than Portugal. I think Portugal, among the Southern European nations, is leading on that aspect. So it makes life easier. But yes, they will complain that foreigners are making house expensive. But they also recognize that foreigners are also bringing money and dynamics to the economy, especially in those places like Algarve in the south, or even in Braga, which is becoming a huge focus for digital nomads and remote workers because it has good prices and good quality of life. So in those parts,
Braga,
people recognize their good role
Braga
for the economy.
is north of Porto, right?
Yes, yes.
And why do people like over there? It's almost like at the border with Spain, right? Like, I mean, is it more affordable than Lisbon?
It's
I've guessed.
of the major cities, is the closest one to the border with Spain, of the major cities. And Braga is attracting people first because there's kind of a little hub of startups there being created. First, it was Porto. Porto was like the startup capital of Portugal. But then they start to go to Braga because Porto starts to get a bit saturated and it starts to get more expensive. And then Braga, because they have a very good university there, which is the University of Braga, they have also few other cities around, all of them, which is Guimarães and Aveiro, which is all of them mid-sized cities with very well-educated population. So people start to move there, especially, and the local government also offers some really interesting incentives for people that want to move there, work remotely. So a lot of web designers, a lot of people related to technology, they want to work remotely. They can find office space for really good prices that pretty much was Lisbon 15 years ago. They can still find those prices in Braga. So it started to attract a lot of people because of that. And they have an airport, a good airport that has flights to many other European countries. So they are well connected to.
That's interesting. Well, needless to mention, like Portugal has a very good digital nomad visa route, right? So for those who can work remotely and do the, like the geo arbitration, right? Like you're paid in the United States and you spend your money in Portugal, right? Like you live a more comfortable life, a more social life, I would say, while still making money in US dollars, right, Levi? That's the idea.
Exactly.
All right. So
this is the digital nomad visa in Portugal. It's probably, I would say, the most successful in Europe. The most successful in Europe because there are other countries that have similar ones. Czech Republic, for example. But they put together a very attractive country naturally, because Portugal is a very attractive country, together with a system that is very easy to understand and is very straightforward to obtain. So in terms of digital nomad accessibility, I would say Portugal is leading Europe nowadays.
That's great. And if you were to recommend like destinations for our listeners here, like which cities in Portugal would you recommend, and is there one that you would not recommend at all?
Yes. So the three cities that I would recommend is by this order. First, Braga. Second, Coimbra. And third, Aveiro. Those three cities. All of them are in the north, which may look like a surprise because the biggest focus is usually the south, Algarve. But why those three cities? First, still their prices are affordable, very affordable, because cities like Albufeira in the south, they got expensive. Those British people, not complaining about them, especially because they are a big part of my audience, not complaining, but they made Albufeira a really expensive place. And those cities in the north, they don't have so many British retirees, so they're still very good if you want to go there, live there, good quality of life. And overall, a very good infrastructure, hospitals, schools, universities, airports, you have everything around. A city that I would not recommend, I would say, not Albufeira per se as a city, but I would say all that part. And it's for two reasons. The first is, as I said, it got more expensive. And the second, it's like if you are going to move to a country, and that is not only for Portugal, for every country that you want to move. And this in every video, I always say the same thing at the end of the video. You should learn the language of that country. Unless you're going there for a short period, you should at least try to learn the language and to adapt to that country. And the last time that I was in southern of Portugal, especially this part of Algarve, somehow it don't feel very much Portuguese anymore. You go, every restaurant, they are offering English breakfast and fish and chips, and menus are not in Portuguese anymore, they are in English.
Wow.
So I say, okay, geo arbitrage is cool. You want to save money, and that's excellent. But you also want to have the experience of living in a country that is very attractive to live, which is Portugal. So unless you want to keep living like British, maybe Albufeira is not, and Algarve, this part of Algarve is not the best place anymore. It's beautiful. I say that. It's beautiful, just not the Portuguese experience.
Got it. All right. And Levi, so it was a great conversation. If our listeners, if our audience, if they want to reach you, like what is the way to reach you for a consultation and to learn more about your work?
Yes. They can reach me via my email. It's levi@expatriateconsultancy.com.
Let me write over here. So
expatriateconsultancy.com.
Expatriateconsulting.com, right?
Consultancy.
Expatriateconsultancy.com. All right. Like I'm typing. Can you see our chat window, Levi?
Yes.
Take a look. Let me know if it's correct.
It is correct. All it's
right.
Exactly that.
So there you go. You have Levi's email. Do yourself a favor. Contact Levi to see how he can help you. And any final questions here for Levi before we ended this live stream? It was very good, Levi. And for how long have you been developing your channel? Like you have over like 7,000 subscribers now.
7,600 more or less. I started to develop this channel 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I started.
2 years ago.
The consultancy, it was 5 years ago, but the channel 3 years ago.
Right. So you're doing well, right, Levi, with this number of subscribers. I mean, we can tell people are enjoying. It looks like we had some issue here. Bill is saying he couldn't see the live stream did not start for 45 minutes, meaning maybe it was just like a part of our live stream. Anyhow, Bill, thank you for letting me know. We have the recording for this session. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna upload my conversation with Levi to our channel, and this way you guys can see the entire conversation with Levi, and then I hope this works. Marcelo has a question here for Levi. What countries are Levi's specialty? So which countries, like if the person has want to know which countries you specialize on, Levi?
Yeah, my specialties are Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Central Eastern Europe, especially Poland and Czech Republic. Those are the 5 countries that I'm more focused in helping both my viewers and my clients.
Perfect. There you go, Marcela. So thank you again, Levi. Hermon, welcome, Hermon. So I apologize. It looks like we had some glitch in terms of letting the audience in, but we're gonna publish the entire conversation with Levi on our channel, and you're gonna see a link. And then again, you have Levi's email address. You can shoot him a message and discuss how Levi can assist you in your journey. Thank you so much, Levi. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Levi. Thank you, everyone. You have a blessed rest of your Wednesday, and see you again on Sunday.